everybody, it's Laurie from Cook Scrap Craft, and welcome to the start of my first process video for the month of May. I'm going to be doing Freaky Fast formula challenges for this month, and if you don't know what those are, go to the Scrap Room. They have a blog. They're a monthly kit club, and they also have a blog with different challenges, and every month they do a Freaky Fast formula challenge, and that means that they give you a recipe. You might have seen them online as well as recipe challenges or something like that, but basically you have to follow the types of paper. They give you specific sizes that you need to use. It can be any pattern paper or cardstock that you want. And then you cut the paper to those specific sizes, and then you figure out a way to put them together to create a layout. So here's what I've got for the May 2025 Freaky Fast Formula Challenge. You needed one 2-inch circle. So I used my Creative Memories circle cutting system to cut this out of American Crafts paper. You needed a 2.5-inch circle, so I used my Creative Memories cutting system. Kind of got it messed up here, but I'll cover that up when I lay it on the page. I cut this circle out of a Chamel paper pad. This is a scrap of Basil cardstock cut into a 3-inch circle. And then we've got two 3.5 by 11 pieces of paper. So one is American Crafts, one is Simple Stories. I thought the yellow would go well, and there's some green in here as well for the green that's over here. I was trying to use items that were kind of left over from my stash, so I wasn't cutting into full papers. Unfortunately, this one I had to cut into, and then this one as well, but all right. This one I'd already cut into. This is from a Photo Play vacation themed pack that I have been saving for vacation themed photos, but obviously this is the other side, but I'm going to use this side to go with sort of the blue that's in here. And this is 4.25 by 11. And then the background can be anything you want. So I'm kind of going back and forth between the craft color, or more specifically almond cream Basil cardstock, or doing just white Vicki Boutin foundations paper and maybe adding some mixed media. I think because this has a white base, I think it's going to look better on the white than on the almond cream. That's just my feeling. So I think we're going to save the almond cream for something else and try to make a page like this. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so I have all of my pieces cut, as you saw, and now it's time to start the process. So the first thing I immediately thought of was, what if I were to bring these pieces that are all the same length, what if I were to put them right next to each other? And I actually kind of liked the way that looked, but I wanted the bigger piece to be in the center, and so that's why I moved that there. So the smaller pieces are on the outside and the bigger piece is in the center. I'm inking the edges of all of them just to make sure they stand out a little bit more on that white cardstock. Of course, I'm using up so much of the white cardstock, or I'm covering so much of it up with these pattern papers, there's definitely not going to be any mixed media happening. And that's okay. Sometimes you go into these formula challenges, you don't really know what's going to happen because you're just cutting pieces, and then you have to figure out how to make them fit onto your page. So you might have an idea of how it's going to look based on like one or two things that you've cut, but in the end, it could look totally different. And the Scrap Room does have a blog where the design team showcases their takes on the Freaky Fast Formula Challenge. There's also a Facebook group where you might see other people who are entering the challenge and their takes on this. I don't like to look at those beforehand because I don't want to be too influenced. I really like doing the challenge where it really just comes from me, and I think about how I want everything to go together. So because I had these 3 paper strips, I immediately thought of 3 photos. And I did have 3 photos of that basketball game that we went to, but then I also saw that I had this year's photo strip that was just from the Life Touch, what's it called, proof sheet. These are the proofs of my daughter's spring pictures. I never order spring pictures, but I do save the proofs, and I just cut it out like that. And then I use that to scrapbook because, hey, it's free. It has Life Touch all over the photos, but I don't really care. So I thought, you know what? Hey, there's 3 photos here. I am going to use that for this. So I backed it on some extra scrap paper that I had. It was actually horseshoe patterned, but you can't really see because it's just a matting for this photo and it's sort of a creamy color in the background. So that's what I'm using as a map. I inked the edges. I'm going to ink the edges of all of those circles, and those are going to create the first embellishment cluster for this layout. So what I did, I know I said I was going to cover up the botched part of that pattern paper, the Chamel pattern paper circle, and I ended up not doing it. I actually pop it up on some foam tape so that it sticks up even more off the page. But hopefully your eye will not catch that. And I'm adding some other elements that hopefully will detract from that little piece that got a little funky when I was using my Creative Memories thing. I think the problem is that it doesn't, the blade piece doesn't, it seems like it's fit into the circle groove. If you have this, you know what I'm talking about. But sometimes it's actually not in the groove the way it's supposed to be. But it's hard to see when you're using it because you have to kind of tilt your head underneath. I mean, you can't tell until you start making the circle and it gets messed up. And I didn't want to do another, I didn't have enough space on either side of that to do another circle. I really wanted the green to be in it, and I really liked the word hello. That was part of it. So anyway, I just left it, and it's just going to be whatever. To go along with these embellishments off camera, I had pulled some things that I thought could work. I really wanted to just go crazy with the embellishments and layer up a lot of different things and use up a lot of the stuff that I have. So I fussy cut some hearts from an American Crafts pattern paper. I've got some Vicki Boutin stickers. I've got some maybe Chamel pieces. I know there's some American Crafts. There's some Echo Park, I think is where the typewriter and the phone came from. And what else do I have? I'm going to do a title using some American Crafts foam thickers. Yeah, I'm just trying to build up these embellishments as much as I can. As you can see, one of the embellishment clusters is at the top left of the photos, and the other one is on the bottom right. And then I had originally thought about doing the title down on the bottom right, and I ended up kind of changing my mind because I did want there to be a little bit more at the top. So that was just kind of my thinking. I don't know. I really like layering up the embellishments, and this was a fun one because I don't know, I guess I had a lot of things that were in a good color, and I wasn't super concerned with, are these themed enough to the photos? I found a lot of cool things with flowers, and because these are spring pictures, I thought, oh, flowers are always good for spring. I mean, does a typewriter or a telephone have anything to do with the photos? No, but they had flowers in them and they matched the colors. They had yellow. So I figured they would work just fine with these. I also added in a little arrow. I had to glue it down with some Elmer's glue because that adhesive is no longer very sticky anymore. And then when it comes to the title piece, most of the letters peeled off pretty okay from the backing. The letter U was just not going to work. So I just stuck that down with additional adhesive because I just could not get that backing off, right? Actually, no, I tried to stick it down with the glue tape there, and it just peeled off the paper backing. The glue piece did not stick at all. That was really frustrating. One of the reasons why I wanted to use this word on this title was mainly because I almost still have a full sheet of these left, and they're such a pain to get off. I mean, I could just not use them because they're such a pain, but because they're such a pain, I'm like, I want to just get rid of these. I have to use them. I will figure out a way to stick them down if the adhesive doesn't come off. And luckily I didn't have too many problems with the rest of the letters. Now it comes time to adding in some gem stickers. Didn't really have enough enamel dots for this, but I had a lot of gem stickers. So I'm just doing pink gem stickers. There's a little bit of pink in that striped pattern paper. And I guess as well in some of the other embellishments that I'm using. So I'm just finding some negative white space, some corners in the embellishment clusters and sticking those pink gems down. And that's pretty much it. This process video is under 10 minutes. So I'm going to put it in my Scrapbooking Under 10 Minutes playlist. And I'll try to remember to make a May challenge playlist so that you can see all the other freaky fast formulas I do for this month. Thanks so much for watching and follow me everywhere. Bye.